Hey, so this is my Module 4, Chapter 4 um, reading discussion, not discussion, reading, what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, this is going to run a little bit longer. Uh, Crazy day with everything that happened on campus. Um, my reading reflection. I really liked the discussion this week as we got to talk about how language has shaped us. And specifically, I think a lot of us talked about slang that shaped us, right? Well, not just slang and then like local dialect, right? And I talked about with one of the other classmates on there how I watch a lot of videos about the differences between describing or like our symbols and words for um, different things that are the same, but we describe them differently in different languages, right? Like people in the UK calling the bathroom the loo, right? Or a petrol station, like things, small things like that, that are completely different from the way we describe them, but we're speaking the same language, right? And I think about like that even with just local dialects, right? Um, how, like, I remember my aunt when I was younger um, talking about how she was a nurse, and she talked about how somebody came into the office with their son who had an earache, and they asked him what she did, and she said, "Well, I heated up some Western Earl and poured it in his ear." Western Earl, Western oil, right? She heated up oil and poured it in her son's ear. That is not a word I would have understood if she was saying it. Western Earl, I don't know what that is, right? But just even different dialects and how that changes, um, how it changes what we think. I also in my research project dove into sexist language. We only get to talk about it a little bit at the end of this chapter, but found some really interesting things. The study that I went into was a thesis project done by somebody at Middle East Technical University, and talked about sexist language used by early childhood educators in Turkey. Um, and how all of like one of the key findings was that all of them um, stated that they found that sexist language is a problem in early childhood education, and none of them thought it was or necessary or feasible to rid um, early childhood education of sexist language, which is a little scary, right? And it's understandable why sexist language is used so often, especially in slang and stuff like that. Overall, really interesting chapter. A lot of cool talk about identity and names. I really liked that too. I think that's really poignant today, right? Um, there's one more thing I wanted to touch on. Part of it is just like how slang and regional dialect and stuff changes our point of view, right? I talked about in my discussion about how, of course, I grew up in Provo, and so much of the words and sentences used have changed how my brain actually functions, right? And my thought process and what times I get anxiety. It's really interesting. Anyway, good chapter overall.